What everyday skill becomes suspicious if you're too good at it? Recognizing faces. I was approaching the check-in counter of a hotel I didn't remember being in before when the desk clerk welcomed me by name. I was visibly startled. His co-worker explained, "He's got a freakish memory." I checked later, I had been there 3 years before. In his job, with the thousands of faces he sees a year, that is a little disturbing. I once had a neighbor catch me while I was taking groceries out of my car and ask if I knew how to open locked doors as they locked themselves out by mistake. Went over to their door, took out a credit card, and shimmied my way in no more than 5 seconds. Probably was bittersweet for them. My boss locked herself out of the shop last week and I did this. We're getting new locks and a security system now. But if you had told her how easy it is a week ago, she wouldn't have given a shit. Walking silently. It's always a good skill to be able to be quiet in a moment's notice, but do it too well and you start appearing behind people and freaking them out. How long have you been there? Type things. My SO's parents' house has hardwood floors that everyone just stomps around on. I don't like making noise when I walk, so according to them I sneak around their house and scare them unintentionally sometimes. It's annoying with the floors in my house since they always creak when I step. No matter how slowly, it will creak. Tying a noose. At basic training I got tasked to help the drill sergeants create their haunted house battalion competition. Long story. My drill asked if anyone knew how to tie a noose, and I whipped out a perfect one in only a few seconds. He just looked at me and said, "Private." What the? I just googled that and the smart result, I don't know what the name for the system is, was my country's suicide hotline. Huh. I got the same. That's actually kind of nice. I don't think it's really an everyday skill, but being able to tell somebody by the sound of their footsteps. When friends or family approach my door, I know who's about to knock. I love creeping them out by saying, "Come in, name here." You can tell a lot by the sound of footsteps. Who is it? Are they angry? Happy? Relaxed? Drunk? Are they wearing shoes? Heels? Barefoot? Though I personally have a habit of tiptoeing everywhere. Tiptoers unite. Sodium peroxide, especially for concrete. Chlorine bleach is terrible as it doesn't remove hemoglobin, so is still detectable with hydrogen peroxide. Now oxygen bleach is great, especially with hydrogen peroxide. The good stuff is the crime scene cleanup stuff. My friend says he isn't giving me the recipe but supplied me with some when I had blood all over my kitchen. The dog lost a fight with the cat over a bit of ham. He is okay now though, and it was so easy to clean with. Our cat will also straight up kill you over some ham. Typing. I'm definitely going to say typing. I type at a little over 150 WPM. I've been repeatedly accused of faking it, which sounds funny until it's your coworkers and boss saying it, calling your work into question. Edit, holy crow. Thanks for my most upvoted comment. To answer a couple questions, I'm a writer. I use a QWERTY keyboard and I've been typing for a minimum of 3 hours a day for the past 16 or so years. My typing speeds have been measured in varying tests for work and school, the lowest coming in at 138 about 4 years ago and middling out about 6 months ago at 154. The highest I've scored on any reliable test was 157 last year. Typing speeds like mine aren't all that uncommon, certainly not as much as they used to be. Nothing special, I just type a lot. I find it much weirder that people find fast typing unlikely. It's kind of creepy chatting with someone like that through IM. I spend like 15 seconds deciding how to phrase and typing out, "Did you like that one movie that came out last week?" And about 5 seconds later they respond with, "Yeah, it was better than I expected." I mean, it still wasn't the greatest movie I've seen, but I guess I'd recommend it to someone who likes that genre. It's like I'm talking to a bot. I might be that bot guy. To be fair though, it's just as annoying when the other person takes 5 minutes to type okay. I used to be a dispatcher for Home Hearing Fuel in Juneau, Alaska, and when I meet people I'd say, "Oh, you live such and such street." I'd get an uncomfortable silence from them and have to tell them, "We deliver your oil." I work. Former garbage man here. Yup. Strike up a conversation with someone at a bar once who I absolutely hated as a customer. These rotten pieces of shit would throw food and refuse straight into a can that I couldn't put on a tipper, meaning I have to pick up and dump 200 lbs of bullshit 6 feet in the air and dump by hand. As soon as I heard his last name, I repeated the first and his address. That knew. He knew. He had seen me throw that goddamned can into the middle of his yard on more than one occasion when I had rotten garbage juice running down the back of my neck because he was too lazy, stupid, or cheap to use a bag. I asked him politely to use a goddamn garbage bag or two and left it at that. And he did. Edit wanted to add, I am a former garbage man. That job is hell. Remembering things about a person from a few months/years ago when the person herself can't remember about it. You just look like a stalker and it's frustrating. I totally understand. People always think I'm a creep because I remember almost everything about them after meeting. Even if we met years before. I was once hitting it off with a girl I knew from high school at a bar. She didn't remember me, and I just knew who she was, like I was aware she existed, so I said, "Oh, I remember you from high school." And that was apparently the weirdest thing she'd ever heard, and it just killed the mood for her. Sorry, I remember that you existed. I'm such a creep. Edit. People are seriously grasping at straws to try to explain what happened to me. You weren't there, you don't know the context. We were talking about high school because it was already established that we went to the same high school. She was just weirded out that I remembered her and she didn't remember me. There is no deep explanation for it. Picking up on small details and remembering them for months. My friends are always like, how did you possibly remember that? I hate that. People ask me a question and I'm like, you asked me the same thing last week on Monday and the week before on Wednesday. You wore a black shirt that day and we discussed politics over lunch, which was a steak. But it's quite selective, there's a lot I don't remember. This is near identical to me. Another thing is that my brother and I both mumble a lot, so sometimes it's almost easier for me to understand someone mumbling rather than when they enunciate. This leads to people just saying something to themselves and I'll catch it and respond and they're like, how the hell did you hear that? Remembering someone else's schedule. I've had people get a little freaked out when I ask how a specific appointment/task is going when I remember them telling me about it days prior. Yeah, memorizing something always surprises people. My wife was suspicious when I could explain what happens in a Simpsons episode by the name or first sentence of the synopsis. I just watch a lot of Simpsons. Actively have Simpsons playing in the background right now. Careful with that. I wouldn't brag about good memory. Next thing you know, she'll be calling you out on why you don't remember where you first kissed but got every date. Homer and Marge went on. Mine's isn't so much the schedule but the random little things people tell me about themselves. I got a friend her favorite DVD as a random present and I was like, why are you shocked? You told me it was your favorite film like 2 years ago? I was going to Disneyland and I wanted to bring back something for my favorite manager. I asked her who her favorite Disney character was, and she said Dumbo, because she loves elephants. Skip ahead to 10 months later, on my last day at that store, I got her a card with an elephant on it. She looked shocked and asked me how I knew her favorite animal was an elephant. Yet I can barely remember what I eat for breakfast sometimes. You must have the memory of an elephant. Not me, but someone I know once mentioned to me back in their high school days, they were suspected of being a snitch because they would always be inclined to leave right before the bust happened. It wasn't that the guy was a snitch. He'd say that sometimes he just got a feeling, or he knew when a party was just dead. Some sorta sixth sense for this. Every time he got around to leaving, his buddies would usually follow suit, since they were usually the ones dealing anyways. My grandfather was like that. He skipped so many Gestapo roundups. I asked him if he could pinpoint the thing that warned him, and he'd just say, things looked different, and I got an uneasy feeling. Once he did get caught by Gestapo, but he wouldn't elaborate much what happened after. You can imagine why. Whistling. I can whistle the Android text tone and it freaks people out. I can make a sound that is identical to the sound of a vibrating smartphone. It's basically a low hum through very slightly open lips and across your teeth. I used to sit in class and make this sound, and people would freak out and check their backpacks or purses, and the teacher would get super pissed, since having a phone go off repeatedly is distracting. Edit. Whoa, this blew up a little. The YouTube vid that you/Shmally posted, Skip to 650, is exactly what I do.